I think more and more so, any education in sport is critically important to getting a job within sport. And more so, if you look at the types of people who are recruiting, the universities and the English Institute of Sport, Scottish Institute of Sport, more and more they're looking for an academic background and that academic rigour behind who you are and what you're able to do. So it is critically important. I wish I'd gone through that education process before, and I think the harsh reality is, as a coach, you never stop learning. So once you've started on the education pathway, you're stuck on it. That's a difficult question, and life's too short for regrets. I think in reality I'm not too unhappy with the decisions I made earlier on in my coaching career, but I think what's critically important is that you do the best you can for the athlete at that particular time. And I'm happy that when I made decisions for athletes in terms of their training programs, that I made the best decision I could at that time. Would I change them? I'd probably tweak them a little bit. I may give them a bit more plyometric work and a little less in the weights room or something like that. I would have tweaked it a bit. But I think fundamentally coaching is about developing a relationship between the coach and the athlete and doing the best you can for them and incorporating them into the decision making. And that's been one of my philosophies from the start, and that's never going to change. It's not easy keeping up with best practice because there's so much going on, there's so much coming out of academic institutions, there's so much studies going on. So I find the best way is via reading, and I still read a lot of books and a lot of papers as and when they come out. But the best education for me is more of a tacit learning. Working with the experts that I work with in nutrition, biomechanics, physiology, I sit down and I challenge them to tell me what's new and how best to then incorporate it into the training program for that particular athlete. Quite often you can't incorporate everything because too much change, you then don't realise actually what is the successful bit that you're adding. So you have to sort of drip feed the new stuff in as and where you can. You might miss some nuggets along the way, but I find that really conversations with experts, sports scientists and other coaches is the best way of keeping ahead. Because of the team that I work with around me, what I do is I always challenge them. I find the best way to learn is to challenge them and say, okay, what's new? What do you think the key performance indicators are, and where do you think you would make change? And let's have a look. And can we possibly make that change? Those I think are the important things, and then you pick out one or two points that you can add. I've got a great physiologist in Dr. Steve Ingham, but he will come at you with 5, 6, 7 new things, and I'm like, is there a paper written that says how well these things are going to perform in one go? And the answer is no. So it's like, okay, let's pick one, make a change, because athletes are fundamentally quite insecure people and they don't want to change too much if it's going well. So you've got to add it in very steadily, very slowly. Nobody wants to just clear the decks and start again. They just want, just improve me a little bit, improve me a little bit. And again, it depends on the athlete as well. Some will be like, no, I don't want anything. And then others will be like, yeah, anything that's new, I'll try everything. My coaching between somebody who's trying to perform at the Olympics or somebody who's trying to perform at a national level doesn't change, or at least I hope it doesn't change, because fundamentally they both want an outcome and they both want a success at the end of the process. The role of the coach in those aspects is that at national level there's less static, there's less external things that you've got to deal with as a coach, but at the Olympic level the success of an Olympic athlete has an implication on a governing body, on a performance director, on a head coach, on so many different people. And as a consequence of which, because they're affected, you as a coach sometimes have to act as a buffer between the athlete and that static noise that they'll have to deal with. And again, the higher up they go, there's more money involved, so you have agents involved, you have sponsors. Again, other distractions that you never came across before. So it's important as a coach that you try and keep things moving towards the point that you want, which is the performance. The greatest moment in my professional career. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully I haven't had it yet. Is the thing. I mean, yeah, you have to say the Olympic gold medal was pretty special. But again, I think there are other things that make me that give me a real buzz, and the fact that one of my athletes is now on the podium program with cycling. So having come through athletics, having looked at them and said, actually maybe athletics isn't your game, cycling is, and then managing to get them on the cycling program, having an athlete perform in winter sports as well as summer sports. Again, those kind of things that I haven't just coached somebody within a box. I haven't tried to push a round peg into a square hole. What I've tried to do with my coaching is look at them as a person and say, well, actually, you've got a future in a different direction. So I think with one of my athletes having been to 3 Olympics for bobsleigh and later been head coach for the Dutch team in the last Winter Olympics, for me, for people to have had careers beyond their own personal sport, I think is probably the most pleasing thing. My ideal graduate is I think what I'm looking for is I'm looking for somebody who can think outside the box. I'm looking for somebody who won't just give me the same sort of stuff, that they won't repeat what's written in papers. They'll actually reflect on the papers and give you a very sort of balanced view, and also examine what the new stuff is that's coming in and how to best use it. I can best give you an example with that. I mean, if we look at the amount of use of ice baths, what are they designed to do? They're designed to reduce the inflammation and reduce the microtrauma in muscles so that you can train consistently from day to day. However, as a coach, I'm training you to have that inflammation so that the muscle adapts and becomes stronger. So do I really want to counteract that inflammation or not? Or do I actually want Mother Nature to do some of the work and actually tell me today's not a good day to train because you're so sore? So somebody who's going to come at me with some of those challenges of what's right and wrong and when to use something and when not to, and just not get involved in the fashionable things. I think that's what I want. Somebody who can really give me that little bit of a gem and an understanding across a subject matter. I think from a graduate point of view, tell me something. It doesn't have to be innovative, it doesn't have to be absolute genius, but tell me something that's actually genuinely going to make a difference, that's actually genuinely going to add maybe 1% to the performance. Not just something that's being read in a paper that everybody's doing. Is it actually going to suit my athlete? And actually tell me if it's not going to suit my athlete. I think it's that level of honesty, because a lot of coaches are afraid of sports scientists and sports scientists are afraid of coaches. So you've got to be able to foster a relationship there. So you've got to be able to bend and flex, I think, in a conversation and give information that's appropriate at the right time and the right information.